Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one person or one starfish at a time. As always, guys, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share. That's how we get the word out about what we do. I'm really excited for our guest today. I've met Jory through Arte and just a good friend. He's been in the trucking industry, so we have that in common. He's Canadian, so we have that in common. And so I'm excited for today's episode. Jory runs multiple businesses. He's definitely a family guy. It's a high priority, and we'll talk about that a little bit too, I think, on here. With his wife and 3 kids, it was a family business, his original business, which is also an interesting thing. For some people that works, for some people that does not work. So I'm excited to get into things on this podcast. Thanks for being on, Jory.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Angela. I'm excited to chat today.
Awesome. Well, let's get into things. So your dad's had the business before you did, the first business of the many that you have now, which was trucking. Mm-hmm. What got you to decide to join him in business, and like how was that experience? Because a lot of times family working together is not pretty.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I always feel very blessed with our family business because it's been good and we've always got along and we haven't had those family blobs. I'm not saying there's no family drama times, but we've done very well. And so it's interesting, that story, because I'm kind of going through it a little bit again now with my kids. I was 15, 16 and trying to figure out, what I want to do with my life. And my dad was a truck driver, had a couple of trucks of his own. And then he kind of had the opportunity to buy out my uncle's business as well and kind of bring them together. But he didn't really want to. He was almost debt free. He was paid for. He was kind of hitting that like I can slow down phase at that time. And he would have been in his 40s, I think then. No, 30, late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. Anyways. And so, but then I wanted to be involved in the business. Essentially, I was interested in trucking. I'd grown up in trucking, and I wanted to do that. And so he ended up buying out my uncle in 2005, going from 2 trucks to 7 trucks. And then I started that year with him dispatching, and I was 16. So it was kind of a whirlwind at that time, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and where I was going with it all. And where we are now compared to what I maybe dreamed it would be is far, 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 far past what I ever expected. But yeah, that's how it started. And my oldest son is 15, turning 16 in 2 months. So it's a very strange kind of nostalgic time for him to kind of figure out what he wants to do, if he wants to join in the family business, if where that's going to go, and to have like a third, 4th generations of business in the family is a really exciting thing for us. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory for that.
That's really cool. So at 16, you started dispatching. That's not a fun job.
No. And yet a very, refining one.
You had to learn a lot of stuff really fast. How did you find that? Were you actually wanting to do that? And if you actually kind of wanted to do it, where do you think that came from? Like, a lot of kids nowadays, I'm stereotyping, a lot of them probably wouldn't want to be working at 16. Did you feel you had to, or was it a choice?
It was absolutely a choice. I didn't have to at all. I hated, like, I was very good at school. I was like honor roll student, but I hated school. Like, I always joke, I would have stayed if they would have paid me to stay, but they didn't. So I left. And so I knew I didn't want to go to school in my career. Like, I wasn't going to be like going and becoming a dentist or getting my MBA or anything like that. I wanted to go and like get after life. And I was always, I'm a very driven person naturally. Like I can't sit still. I can't, I got to be progressing constantly. And that was always who I've been. And so it wasn't really a hard decision. It's like, oh, I can go start my life and start building right now. And I can do it as fast and as hard as I want. Yeah, I'm in. Right. So that's what kind of drove it at that time. And that's been me my whole life. Right. And so dispatching was just what the business needed at the time. I think about that now is because like when I started, it was me, my dad, my grandma, and some truck drivers. So it was like we were very small. It was literally in the detached garage behind our house is where we ran our business out of, right? Like I rolled up my bed in my pajamas and walked out to my office, and my grandma brought me breakfast. Like it was a pretty good gig, if I'm honest.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good gig, but most people wouldn't do it. A lot of people wouldn't do it. So do you think that work ethic came from watching your dad? I mean, I obviously understand truck driving. For people that don't understand it, it's a interesting life and normally a hard working life. Um,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
think
My
that that was where
dad.
that came from, a lot of it?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad and I are very similar personality types and have a lot of similarities for the kind of person we are. My dad work like his infinite work ethic, and I definitely got that from him. That wasn't my first job. Like I'd been already working for 3 or 4 years by that point. From the time I was 12, I was trying to make money. I polished trucks. I had my own little polishing business, and so I had, the wheels and the grinders and the tools, and I built up a little business doing that because I knew lots of people in the trucking industry. And so I was polishing wheels in the
You would have made
summertime.
a killing in California.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, in Canada, the
Alberta
trucks don't
and
have like
polishing's not quite as high core as Californian polishing.
yeah, the season's short.
Yeah.
But I was young and I only needed money for the summer, so it worked good for me then. But
That's so cool.
I was either doing that or I'd worked a few other jobs. I'd worked at the body shop in town, sanding cars and doing stuff like that. I was like always looking for a way to get ahead and make money and have free. It's always about freedom. Like I think even back then, I wanted to be in control of my life. I wanted freedom. I got married. I got engaged when I was 17, married when I was 18. Like I wanted to get after life. Like I just like couldn't, don't hold me back. Right. So that was what I was looking for even then, as I wanted to be free of everything and I wanted to be in control of my own life and my own situation. And so that's what I went after doing. Which it was good. It's true though, Angela, when you think about it, especially in this generation now. But I think in a lot of cases, I was a very abnormal child in that respect. Like
Mm.
I was looking to get into the adult world as fast as I could and get building my life. I wanted to start building, which is I'm a builder, right? Like the reason we have multiple businesses is not because it just happened in my lap. It's because I wanted to build something. So I kept building and trying and doing new things and building on top of everything that I did all the time. And that's what resulted in that is just the personality and mentality of a builder.
And we're going to get a little controversial because this crossed my mind as something I've been on. So like I said, these podcasts go wherever they go.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
where in your mind is there a line between building and the constant chase of quote financial success? I'm going to call it, because
Hmm.
success can mean a lot of different things, and enjoying, and I think you do have a lot of this with your family, and enjoying the journey and being present in the moments also. Where do you see? Because I know some people definitely, they're the richest man in the graveyard, but they didn't enjoy their life. So
Yeah, absolutely.
where do you see the balance, quote unquote balance? I don't think there is any balance, but what are your
No.
thoughts on that?
I think I've had to learn that the hard way a lot in my life and in my career and everything. And as I've matured, I've kind of changed my perspective many times on it. Some people are truly driven by the dollar, and that's what they're chasing after. And culturally, even especially in North America, the
Mhm.
almighty dollar does drive, like
Exactly.
it's how we measure success, I think generally culturally, and I don't think that is a way to ultimately be joyful and peaceful in your life. And so I do a thing called Core Four, where I kind of break my life into quadrants because I am driven and I'm a goal guy and I need to have measurements on everything and it's just how it is. But I go, okay, what do I actually really care about? And it is just business, right? And I've had to step back from that at times. I've been the workaholic a lot of times in my life, and
Mhm.
when my kids were young, 300-400 hour months were a regular thing. When that's what the business needed, what we needed to survive. And I was happy and willing to do that. I'm happy to go to work every day. Like I am happy when I am working, right? So that's not the problem. But then you have to realize that that doesn't necessarily always serve your family. They're not always happy when you're at work 100% of the time. So that's where Core Four really, I'll say, leveled me out, not balanced me, but it made me really look at every aspect of my life that matters and then set goals in each of those areas to make sure that I'm giving the appropriate amount of energy to each area and that each area is moving to get ahead together. And it's not always, in balance. But so we got like your physical health. And so when you're working yourself to death, your physical health fails, right? And so you're not eating right, you're not exercising, you're not doing, you're just, everything goes to business. Well, that fails. Well, if eventually, if you let your health get bad enough, it's going to take out the other as well, right? And so you can't drop the ball in all these areas. So we got physical health, relationships and family, mental and spiritual health, and then your productivity and your business health. And so I take those four quadrants and I sit down with them quarterly, every 90 days, and I go, okay, what matters to me in this area? You know, how am I going to invest in my marriage, my children, my friendships, and make sure that that doesn't fall off this in the next 90 days? How am I going to take care of my physical health in the next 90 days? And what am I going to do in business in the next 90 days? And I chunk it out into reasonable bites and steps so that I don't lose sight of what really matters. And then every Monday morning, I go through my 90-day list and go, okay, in my calendar, in my schedule, where am I scheduling the things that matter, and where am I missing out on things so that I don't lose sight of the broad picture? Because you can't really easily.
So good. That's such a, man, that is, I'm like, I need to do something like that. That is such gold right there, for so many people, because yes, if one goes, it's so easy to chase one and not all. It's such a cool way to stay, quote, balanced, or like you said, level. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I always think about, like, one of the most important parts is that what is important rather than urgent. Because especially in this world where we have, cell phones and texts and calls and social media, 27 different things binging at us all the time, everything's urgent. There's 100 urgent things at any given time, and we can just get caught up in the whirlwind of urgency and then not deal with the things that are important. And one day we look back and go, why am I here? Like, we lacked intentionality and purpose in it. And I don't want to be the guy that just looks back 10 years from now and goes, wow, I didn't invest in the things that matter. I didn't take advantage of the years of my kids' teenage. Like, right now, my kids are all teenagers, and I am so cognizant of how important it is that I'm present in their lives and investing in their lives right now, because it's going to be over and they're going to be gone. And the statistics that you spend 80% of the time that you're going to spend with your kids in the first 18 years of their life, it's like, are you going to waste that time, or are you going to be intentional about that time when it's there, not think about it and regret it after? I don't want to be that guy. So important over urgent every time.
Well, let's touch on that a little bit, because I just find this, like, you got married at 18, you're still married, with 3 kids, and for building businesses. What are some, because this is something I have no experience in, so what are some relationship tips you would give to someone who's extremely driven, and in a relationship and building a family at the same time? Because a lot of those end in divorces, statistically, that this pretty high risk. So, what is it that has kept your marriage, I would say, good from what I've seen, and growing? What are some tips you would say to someone?
Yeah, marriage. You definitely don't know. You're never going to know everything about marriage. That's a good part about it, is that you're always growing. I so appreciate in our marriage that, because we started so young, we didn't bring baggage into the marriage. We both didn't have a clue what we were doing. And so we kind of grew up together, which made it easier in a lot of ways, because we faced everything head on as a team, rather than going, well, this is how I want to deal with this, and this is how I've always done it. And I've seen that problem in marriage a lot. With people who get married later on, is they've already decided and figured out the way that they do things or handle things or how they like things. And now they have to kind of bring those two worlds together, which can be tougher. We were
wish me luck when it happens.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't want to point that out. So that was really helpful to us in our marriage. But, being in business, there were lots of rocky years, especially when we had young kids. Our kids are 16 months apart each. And so we had, toddlers, 1, 2, 3, like that, and then all the way up. And so we were both pretty much consistently exhausted and zombies for a good chunk of that time of our marriage. And you were just head down, working to get through that time. But when I went through some stages of those working 300-400 hour months and getting through really tough times, it kind of showed me that there's an analogy that I've heard a lot of heard used a lot of times is that you hand a rock. We all are carrying a rock of some kind. And when you are going to go out as like the husband or the provider, or whether you're both working or whatever, you hand the rock to your spouse to hold, and you go off and you do your thing, and they can hold that rock and they can handle that weight of that responsibility without you supporting them with it, for quite a long time. But eventually they start to fatigue, and they start to lose their strength and even their resolve to continue, when they don't trust that you're coming back to help carry that rock for time, help carry it together, or you take it. And I think that was something that I was pretty aware of, as we worked. Okay, yeah, I can ask her to hold down the fort and to handle the things and to take care of the kids, and have that moments of that. But I got to understand that that can't be the norm. That can't be the forever of how our relationship goes. I can't just expect her to carry that always. I have to come back and I have to do my part in the family to carry the load of what's going on. And leadership looks like, in our family, me taking initiative to make sure that she is taken care of, as well as, and we're caring for each other, obviously, but that I'm not just checking out into the world of business and entrepreneurship like so many entrepreneurs do, and just expecting that it's going to always be fine at home when I'm not investing in that.
That's so good. Those are really good tips. I like the idea of the rock. Depends how big the rock is, how long they can hold it too. So
yeah, 100%. And we all get, we even get stronger as we get older. It's like, okay, yeah, there were seasons where she held the rock a long time and she got stronger for it. But there's a point where she can become resentful for it too, because I'm just leaving her hanging all the time.
Right.
One thing that we've done recently that has been super powerful, is I find that my mornings are kind of my strongest time of the day. I'm most present. I'm not buried in the stress and the problems of the day. So we actually kind of protect our mornings. And so we have coffee together in the mornings, and I tend to go to work a little bit later in the morning. We get the kids off to school, and then we just have some time, just the two of us most mornings, to sit and have a coffee and check in and spend time together. And so,
that's really cool.
Investing in my marriage, in the time, because my wife's love language is quality time, to invest in that and prove and show through my actions that is a priority in our marriage, and that I'm willing to invest in it. And I think that it's important, has been very, very key to making sure that we're focusing on keeping our marriage strong.
That's really cool. And that'll be really good, as a lot of people, as the kids leave, that's when a lot of separations start too, because they've kind of like, it's all about the kids, and you guys are making it about you guys, which is great. So when the kids leave, it's still about you guys. That's really cool tips. One of the things you talked about was, that you have multiple businesses, and you just think there's a real mission and purpose to having businesses. What do you mean by that? Explain a little bit more.
Yeah, like our purpose of our company that we talk about is we create awesome jobs for excellent people, set them up for success, and make them connect them into our community. That's kind of what our businesses are about. And I've kind of come to realize, especially as we've grown, we were, when we started, three office people and 7 truck drivers, like 10 people. And now we're like 160, 170 people right now. And what I've come to realize is that our business is a community of people, and that is maybe the most valuable thing that I can give to our people, is the community that they get to join into by working in our organization. When we're trying to attract talented people and bring quality people into our organization, like, you can offer someone really good money, you can offer them really good terms or work, or like all these different things. But when it comes to competing with other people, and what people, high performing and high value people, actually value, is the community of the people that they work in. When we spend as much time with people we work with as we do, which is the majority of our time typically, we want to work with people we like. We want to work with people whose values align with our values, and that we feel uplifted and not worn out by being in that community. And that has been the game changer in a lot of cases for us, is that we don't have turnover in our business ever, really, right? So it's consistent. People come, they stay, they plug in, and they become stronger. Even in their personal lives, they're driven to be better because of the community that they get to join into. Killers like to work with killers. We want to work with the best. If we're chasing excellence, we want to be surrounded by excellence, right? And so holding those values and building that community draws in more people, like-minded people, like values people into your community, and it becomes the most valuable thing you can give, right? Obviously, everyone needs to get paid fairly and well for what they're doing, but the real benefit that we give the people that work in our organization is the community that they are a part of.
Has that
So
always
that
been that way, or is that something you've worked on?
um, I don't know that I was as cognizant of it initially. I think it's kind of always been that way because between my dad and I, through building it, that's what our values have been. In building multiple businesses, I realized because they operate kind of independently that they started forming some of kind of their own cultures individually, though they're all a little bit different. And at times, some of them could get even a little off track to our values and to our culture. And so when that started rearing its head, I became way more aware of how much work needs to go into maintaining the community and the culture and the values of your business and establishing them and making sure that everyone's aware that this is how it is, and then getting rid of people who aren't good people that are gonna poison the well of that, right? So early on, I don't think I understood it. The longer I was in it, the more I understood it. The more people that are in it, the more it becomes very, very sharply apparent when you're doing it wrong. And so every year we invest more and more and more into the culture of our company, into our community, into our values, making sure that we stay consistent on that. And that's really what has served them. And the most, like for me in business, the most exciting thing that I do is hire another person and bring them into our organization and know that their life is ultimately going to get better because they work with us now. I know that 100% chance, right?
What are some things that you do? Like you said, you're investing more into building some of that. What are some things, tangible things that you've done that maybe people could listen to and do for their own teams?
Yeah, like so I'm a EOS guy. And that EOS is entrepreneurial operational system. And their meeting rhythms and stuff really helps you keep that values and community and communication going well. And so we have a leadership team, and each company has its own leadership team. That team meets weekly, quarterly, annually to work on all of the aspects of the business, but even especially culture and values and community. And so that really helped us get that alignment throughout. When you have a team of leaders working on improving your values and a team of leaders thinking about and leading each of their teams really well and really on values, it really helps strengthen the foundation. So that was really a big deal. We every week on Wednesday we have lunch together as a whole company. So obviously truck drivers all across the entire continent, but anybody who's locally around, and the whole office and all of our companies come together and we eat together and just kind of share an hour or two in the middle of the week. That has really been good for building community. And then I found the other thing is that that whole adage of people don't leave companies, they leave bad managers or bad leaders. And so I really, really focus in on team leaders and making sure that they are building a really strong community and culture in their individual teams. Because, your accounting team, your operations team, your sales team, your, all these different teams, they have their own little communities and their little niches kind of that they get in. And the best thing you can do for them is make sure they have strong leadership. And I always think when I put a leader in place and I give someone the ability to be a leader in an organization, that I'm subjecting every person that I hire and put under that person's leadership to that person. And that's my responsibility. And so I really invest heavily and spend a lot of time working with our individual leaders throughout our company, making sure that they know how to be a good leader and they know how to serve and uplift and lead their teams. I think that's important. So I read a book each quarter with all of our leadership teams. So that's usually 20 to 30 people within our organization are reading a book together. And then once a week we get together and we discuss the book, the chapter we're reading, and just really work on sharpening each other and having that constant continual growth and strengthening of our leadership teams.
Well, I love that. That's awesome. So if someone was like going to get into a business, what are some do's and don'ts that you would say right off the get-go from what you've seen over the years?
Do's and don'ts. Don't do a lot of things I did. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm working through some of these things in my for myself right now of why I did what I did in the early days, and a lot of it is like just purely naive. I think for almost every entrepreneur, the first decade in business is just a gauntlet of learning everything that you don't know and you don't understand about business and about leading people, about um, cash flow, finance. Like there's such a gamut of things to learn.
Mhm.
Um, and so to come into anything thinking that you're just going to be a rock star is wrong. Like you need to be humble and you need to be willing to put in the time and the work in that business. I think a lot of people think that they have an idea and therefore they have a business. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. And a business is actually serving a customer and solving a problem for them. And so your idea, as good as it might be, does it really solve a problem for a customer? And are they going to pay you to do that? Right. So, because I've seen so many people start businesses because they think they have a little idea or a little product or a little thing, and then they go headlong into it, and then they don't realize that it's not going to go the way they expect it to go because they don't yet they're not super entrepreneur of the year and they're not solving a problem that people have that they want solved and are willing to pay for. So that's a big one. Maybe one of the most beneficial things that I've done my entire career is just reading. For a guy that dropped out of high school to go into business, I clearly still needed education in its own form. So I've read literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books in the last 20 years, and that was maybe some of the most impactful and beneficial things that I've done. I've learned through reading books and constantly educating myself in every way that I could, to learn and to grow, to find mentors, things like RTA, coaching and investing in yourself. And so, to go start a business, to be willing to do it, work hard and everything else, that's great. You got to have the work ethic, but you got to also get smart and learn and get good mentoring and leadership in your life as well. So the don't do thing is just think you have a good idea and go headlong into something. And the do thing is to educate yourself and really invest in growing you, because your business, Ed Milet said that to me, and one of the best things I ever heard was that your business will never outgrow you. So if you want your business to grow and to expand and to get better, then you need to get better. So you need to invest in you.
And when did you decide that? At what point in I mean, you started working at like 13, 14, but at what point did you realize you needed to grow yourself?
I knew right from the beginning. I have to give my dad props for this because the day I started, when I was 16, he handed me How to Win Friends and Influence People. And
Wow.
he said, read that and do a book report and hand it in to me. And you get your first raise when you're done that. And so he started me off on the right foot. And again, I was in school, but I hated it. I didn't read very much. Like I read, nonfiction stuff, but the minute I read that book, I was hooked. I was just like, holy smokes, I can learn so much so fast just by grabbing a book. And so, almost every leadership or self-improvement book you read will list 3 to 5 other books. And it just started me down the web of the world of personal growth. And so then I was hooked immediately. It sparked something in me that made me want to just continue to learn and to grow. And so right from the age of 16, I was working on growing myself. Right. It's not easy to be a leader in a company, where you're dealing with probably 40 to 60-year-old truck drivers and you're a 16-year-old punk telling them where to go and how to get there. Right. So it was truly a trial by fire of learning how to lead and to communicate and to, um, work with people and get people to trust you as a leader
Yeah,
when
you're
you're
the boss's son. They're like,
age.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
not,
well, and they didn't like it, and
no.
that's fair. And it was good. I needed to remain humble, and I learned very quickly that if I was going to lead anyone, I had to win them over first. And so it was a great experience for me to have to come in there completely wet behind the ears and completely humbled, and humbled frequently for my, lack of experience and my age, but also then learning, okay, well, I have to overcome this somehow, right? If I'm going to be good at this, I have to lead these people, and in order to lead them, I have to win them over.
So good. I love that. That's awesome. So where do you see yourself going in the next 5 to 10 years, and what excites you the most?
Oh, 5 to 10 years. Interestingly, from that time, that would have been 2005, we've doubled over and over and over again. Like we had 7 trucks then, we have 110 right now. I have a mechanic shop, we have a construction company. Those are one's 8 years old, and other's 6 years old, I think, and I started those from the ground up. And so it's just constant doubling all the time. And so it's been, to think even 10 years ago, I think we're 4 times as big as we were roughly. 10 years from now, we could absolutely be 4 times as big as we are now. I'm getting to the point where I don't know if that's what I want anymore.
Mm.
But it's intriguing. What I want is what God wants me to do ultimately. So I'm up for anything, and I know I'm always gonna want to grow and expand, and I'm addicted to that, and so that's probably what's gonna happen. But I want to grow a business where the community benefits, where people want to be a part of the company that we're building, and that it serves them and they serve it. That it's an organization that helps the people that work within it, and it helps the customers and the people that it serves. And so, as long as that is what's happening, it's probably going to continue to expand. We've done I've changed strategies a little bit lately. And COVID and our current economy it's a different beast or animal than we've seen in the past. And so I think we always have to change our approach. But we've done 4 acquisitions in the last 2 years. And so we've been growing by bolting other businesses on or enveloping them. So that's kind of been a new trajectory that we've taken. And so I anticipate, I have a meeting next week with another business that we're probably going to end up buying. And so that's something that seems to be on the forefront of what's going on. There's a lot of businesses out there struggling, and a lot of generational people that are kind of getting to the end of their careers that are looking to offload or find someone to take over their business. So there's a ton of opportunity in mergers and acquisitions. So that seems to be the flavor of what's going on right now for us.
That's cool. I love it. Well, in wrapping up, I always have 3 final questions, and then anything we didn't touch on that'd be impactful for our listeners. And by the way, guys, obviously all the information for Jory and his companies will all be in the show notes. Feel free to reach out if you have questions. He's on Instagram. Great person to follow, by the way. Got some good leadership stuff he always posts on there. But maybe you're in one of those businesses, and I don't know if you're looking for a job or looking for a thing. Sounds like a great place to go, but you better have the right culture and the right work ethic. So anyway, first and final question is, if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you could say that could help them find it?
I think I know in my life I have a calling. God gave me that calling, and he made me for it. And so if you want to find what you're meant to do, what your purpose is and what you're called to do, I think you need to meditate on that and pray about it. Like, I'm a Christian, so obviously that's my perspective, but we all were made for a reason and a purpose. And when you find that purpose, you'll know it, and your life will change forever because of it.
Love that. Second question, what's a favorite quote and why?
Oh, there's so many.
That's why I said A. I've learned not to say your favorite, because that's
tough.
It's too hard.
I couldn't quote the whole quote, but the man in the arena quote, I believe that's Theodore Roosevelt, who quoted that. But I really think that you have to go and get in there and get your hands dirty, and you have to sweat and bleed and do that to really understand and truly know what it's all about. Right? No one's going to go out and do it for you. No one's going to give you permission, and no one's going to come and save you. So you got to be willing to get in there and just do it, and take that first step and believe in yourself that you can figure it out. Another one quickly that ties to that is the Stockdale paradox. It comes from, I believe it, Good to Great is where that, they talk about that. Lieutenant Stockdale was in a POW camp, and was a leader in the military during, I believe, the Second World War. But anyways, it ultimately, the Stockdale paradox is believing that you will overcome any situation, no matter what the circumstances, without ignoring the brutal realities of what you're facing. And so believing in yourself that you will ultimately...
But not living in delusion.
Yes, exactly. So that Stockdale paradox has gotten me through everything in my career. And it is maybe one of the most important parts of business.
Oh, I love that. Third and final question. What's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Well, I would say that I should have it nicely quoted, but ultimately my life's goal is that everyone who ever knew me was better off for knowing me.
Good, I love that.
I want to have an impact on everybody that I come into contact with, and I want it to be a positive one. And I want people to go away from conversations or scenarios with me feeling like that they're better off because they knew me.
It's really cool. Love that. So you run into someone in a coffee shop, they listen to this, they learned a whole bunch about like mission and purpose and culture. What's something though we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners?
I think know thyself is a really good one. And being introspective and spending enough time really truly sitting with yourself and thinking about what you truly care about. Because I think a lot of people go through their entire life being, whether they feel like they're a victim or they are just accepting what the world gives to them and brings to them, rather than going out and making what they want to happen. I hate to see people living life unintentionally. And I don't think people spend enough time really sitting and thinking about what they truly care about and what really matters, and then crafting their life around what they care about. I think that's really important.
So good. I love that. Guys, I know you want to share this. Take it to heart, build your companies, build your team culture, all that kind of stuff. If we can go out there, if we can help change one life or one starfish at a time together, we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Jory.
Yep. Thanks, Angela.